Let's look at Queen's link or box link chain. This is very similar to the Byzantine steps, so if you haven't watched that video, I recommend you go back and take a look at that first, because I'm not going to go over in such detail the individual steps. I'm really just going to show you some tips as to how to modify those steps so that you end up with a continuous folded chain like this. For this project, I'm going to use 3.75 inside diameter rings, and they're 20 gauge. Unlike the Byzantine chain, you don't get the same problem with these folded sections opening up. So you have a little bit more option as to what size rings you use. So larger, lighter rings are fine. Just like Byzantine, start out with 3 pairs of rings on your paper clip. Fold back the pair on the end. Separate that top pair and grab the rings underneath. And of course it should instantly look like that. If it doesn't, unhook your ring, make sure you're not going through an extra ring. And I'm still working in pairs, so I want to add in a second ring next to that. Now the only major difference is that if I were going to continue into Byzantine chain, from here I would add 2 pairs of rings onto the end. For Queen's link or box link, I'm just going to add 1 pair. And all that's going to do is remove that inner circle that acts to separate those folded pairs. And now I'm going to fold again. And straight away you can see it's becoming that closer chain style. And let's quickly compare it to Byzantine so that you can see the difference. So that has that inner ring that separates out those outer sets. So if you do accidentally add on 2 pairs from this stage, you would end up with a Byzantine style chain. So if it looks a little wrong when you get to that and it seems to be separated out, you need to step back a little bit. And just like with Byzantine, at this stage, if you are using larger rings, when you drop that down and let go of it for a while, it may end up looking like this. All you need to do is separate those 2 rings and push them back where they're supposed to be. So you've still got 2 pairs of outer rings to work with once you start to get into wire wrapping or adding them to chain, but you should take note that they are on opposite planes. These ones stand upright and the right side that I'm holding lies flat, so they may not end up looking quite the same in your design. But if you're just wrapping beads in between little segments like this, it won't show a major difference. The only thing then to take note of is where you actually want to stop building your segment. So if I were to go and add 2 more to here, you'll see that that gives quite a mismatched end. So even though the rings on the outsides are on the same plane, you've got this odd gap in there. So really your connection should happen immediately after you do the folding step. And that's all it takes. If you are just going to make a plain chain like that, you don't need to worry about counting out your rings ahead of time. If you were going to do evenly sectioned areas that were going to be broken up by beads, then you might want to separate out your rings first so that they all match, since getting in here and actually counting how many you've used starts to get kind of complicated.